Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Blue, and we are back with another video. These are my favorite videos to do. I love diving into the numbers. We are going to do that. We're going to take a look at the tier set for Feral Druid and put some numbers behind it and percentages behind it, cooldown reduction values behind it. If you guys enjoy the video, go ahead and leave a like on the video. I do appreciate that. Go ahead and share it. Anything you want, that would be great. Consider subscribing if you enjoy content like this for Feral Druid. These are the things that I like to do, but that is enough. We got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump into it really fast. So let's go ahead and read the tier sets. So the second tier set says each combo point spent reduces the cooldown of Incarnation or Berserk by 0.5 seconds. We use 5 combo points, so anytime we bite, we're going to be reducing Berserk by 2.5 seconds. We'll take a look at how that looks like in the grand scale. And then our fourth tier set, when Berserk ends, you lacerate all nearby enemies, dealing 700% attack power, bleeding damage over 10 seconds. You guys, this is the easiest one to figure out. I'm going to walk you through how I figure these out, by the way, so you guys don't think I'm just throwing random numbers at you. But basically, to figure out my attack power, which I could not figure out in-game for whatever reason, just go ahead and sim yourself, all right? And then open up the sim specifically, and then scroll down to the very bottom where it says stats, and it will show you for you. Now, there is an unbuffed and then a raid buffed. I'm going to go ahead and take raid buffed. The reason I'm taking raid buffed is we are going to increase our gear, so this is still going to be a lower value than what I'm expecting in patch 9.2, but we're still going to use this as a value. So my value is 1827. We're going to multiply that 7. We're going to multiply that by 7 to figure out the damage, and if it is one target, we're going to hit that one target with about 12,789, so about 12,500 damage per one target. So this is going to be really great for us in an AoE situation, which we desperately need. And single target, kind of lackluster, to be honest, but hey, we'll take what we'll get. But let's go ahead and continue on. That was the easiest one to figure out, right? Now, for the 2 set, the idea behind the 2 set is we want the 2 set to reduce Berserk by a minute. We want Berserk to line up with our Convoke, which is a minute long. So we want to get the reduction. In 2-minute fight, we want Berserk to be reduced by 1 minute. Now, if it's not able to do that, we would unfortunately be forced to run Frenzy Band as a legendary, which would assist in getting that cooldown reduction. So what we want to see is 2 set doing it by itself, and then we can just grab any legendary that we please. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, and I'm going to show you guys how I figure that out. Basically, go into your Warcraft logs in a fight. We are looking at everything within that 2-minute window. So you're going to go ahead and grab this 2-minute window, grab everything in there, and then you go to casts. All right, and this is going to tell me how many ferocious bites I had. I had 15 in this specific occasion, and then I had 2 convokes. All right, and then you're going to use that information. So basically, you can do that yourself. I just wanted to show you how. Although I do have the information here for you, I'm going to go over this a lot more than obviously the convoke and bites, and I'll explain why. But this is what you can do yourself. Now, I do want to mention, first of all, is convokes. All right. In Warcraft logs, convokes doesn't tell me what I'm doing, okay? In Warcraft log, it just gives me a value for convoke, and that's it. I don't know how many times I'm biting within convoke or what I'm doing within convoke. So I'm going to actually exclude convoke from the data. Now, do understand that it exists. If you're looking for a value, I could just throw you a random value. That's fine. Let's just say, for instance, and this is just out of thin air, let's just say you average 2 bites per convoke. What would that do? Well, 2 bites is going to be 5 seconds, and if I convoke twice, so those 2 convokes are going to be reducing Berserk by itself by 10 seconds, which is pretty significant. That's a number I just made up and threw out there. I have no idea how many bites are on average happen during convoke. If you got that information, use it, but we're excluding that information from now on. So I bit 17 times, which means for the 2 set, it's going to reduce my cooldown of Berserk by 42.5 seconds. Not bad, pretty good. We want to see it about a minute. If it's close to a minute, that's also not bad, right? If we have to stall our 3rd convoke for a few seconds, not the end of the world. If we have to stall convoke for 10, 15 seconds, that is a huge issue, and then we're going to see some dependence of having to run Frenzy Band. Now, I also ran Frenzy Band to see what it would do. Since I already had the data looked up, I might as well. If you're unaware of Frenzy Band, the legendary says it's going to reduce Berserk as well per combo point used. So every combo point is going to reduce Berserk by 0.3 seconds. Okay, so that total would be 15.6 seconds if I was using the tier set and Feral Frenzy together, or Frenzy Band together. It would reduce it by 58.1 seconds. That's great, but we really want to see it alone just with the 2 set, so we don't have that dependency. So let's go ahead and take a look at the data all together. So in blue is the 2 set, and then in orange is just the Frenzy Band, and then the total is gray if I had them equipped. Now, do keep in mind I do have the averages over here to the right. Do keep in mind there are a few fights that are really messing up the data. For instance, we can see here Painsmith. I got a value of 25 seconds reduced. If you're not aware of Painsmith, there's a huge portion of time where you're not attacking anything, basically. So it's going to really wreck our numbers. But our average is 38.8 seconds. Let's say Painsmith didn't exist. I would probably say this is around 40 seconds, okay? So on averaging, our 2 set is giving us about 40 seconds. Now, is Convoke enough to get us up to that 50-point marker or 50-ish marker? If so, perfect, great, ideal. If not, we may see specific fights, for instance, like Painsmith, that we are just equipping Frenzy Band on default. Maybe it's not, maybe it doesn't become the meta legendary, but we're just equipping it for some specific fights where we need that extra cooldown reduction assistance. Okay. There it is. Hopefully you guys like this, but let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers. That's what we really care about, right? So basically, to figure out the numbers, pretty easy here. What we're going to do is, let's say we are in fact reducing Berserk by a full minute. So basically what we do here, oh, and also we're going to take a look at 3 fights. These are perfect fights, ideal fights. Not all of my fights look like this. I'm using these specifically because I can tell, and you can tell, when I'm Berserking and when I'm just Convoking. Okay, so we got these really great peaks. Not all fights look like this at all. But in this specific one, so this is the eye of the jailer. Basically what we have to do is, this is my Berserk. We need to switch this Berserk with this Convoke because we're Berserking a minute earlier. So we just switch those around, which also means my Berserk is going to line up at this window. So basically all I have to do is I have to take all this information right here, this damage, which is about 492,000 damage, and then I have to subtract that from this peak, which is 396, which gives us about a difference of 95,000 damage. If I was able to get where that Berserk legendary Berserk essentially one more time, I'd have 95,000 damage. You compare that to our 3.15 million total, and it's about a 3% increase in damage just with that 2 set. Now with the 4 set, we already have the value of the 4 set. The 9 is a little bit different for all these bosses. Even though the 9 is not a single target boss, we're going to pretend that it is, just as far as numbers goes. But since I am Berserking 3 times, we already have the value for Berserk, or that 4 set value for Berserk. We're going to go ahead and multiply that 3 times. We get a total damage of 38,367, which is about 1% damage increase. And that's basically it for the 4 set. In single target scenarios, we're talking about a 1% increase there. So that gives us a total of 4% damage increase. So maybe not what you expected with the whole entire tier set to do, but that's what it is. Let's take a look at another fight here. And this one is the 9. So the 9 is really great. You can see some really good peaks here. Perfect. Now I am going to explain, just in case you're wondering, why this peak and this peak are so low comparative to these peaks. These are still Convokes, but do keep in mind the 9 is a multi-target fight. If you're ever Convoking for multi-targets, it's really going to hinder your damage. Elijah, I need 2 seconds. And then this Convoke, at the end of the fight, there is only 1 target up, which my Convoke is doing a lot better. So basically what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to switch this Berserk with this Convoke. We're just switching it, and then we're going to add this Berserk on this cooldown right here. So this peak is about 557,000 damage. We're going to subtract that from this peak, which is 346 damage, which gives us a difference of 210,000 damage. You compare that to the total 3.35 million, and it gives us about 6% damage increase. All right, so we got that. That's a really nice damage increase. We see the peak there really helping. Now we can go ahead and also add in our Berserk. Our Berserks hit it. We Berserk 3 times, and we can say in a single target scenario. So that's also 38,000 damage. We compare that to 3.35 million, and it's still about 1% damage increase. So that gives us a total about 7%. Now the last fight we're going to look at is Remnant. For Remnant, this one is interesting. For Remnant, we're going to, of course, switch our Convoke Berserk with just our Convoke. We're going to switch those, and you're going to see here the fight only lasted 4 minutes. I needed the fight to last 4 minutes and 30 seconds because the 4-minute window is when my Berserk and Convoke happen. It comes off a cooldown, and I'm able to press it again. Unfortunately, since the fight did end at 4 minutes, just switching these two nets me a total of 0 damage. So in this specific scenario, my second tier set, or my 2 set for my tier set, is netting me 0 damage. So kind of sucks. And then our 4 set, of course, our 4 set hits twice. We compare that to our total. It's still about 1%. So probably not what you guys were expecting. You guys are probably expecting more damage. I definitely was reading some of other classes, and they look to be very good. Unfortunately for us, the 2 set, it's going to be dependent on the fight duration, as we put in a perfect example here. We really want it to be within those sweet spots, really ending soon after our Berserk Convoke combo. If not, it's really not going to be netting us very much damage at all. And then the 4 set is, if it's a single target scenario, it's only netting us about 1%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hypothesize why that is. I'm also going to throw some shade at the Feral Discord and Guilty, just because that's what I like to do. But you guys, no matter what Wowhead is telling you that Feral is a D class, C class, whatever that is, Feral is doing really, really good as far as raid. Feral is a very good spec to be playing at the moment, and I foresee it still being a very good spec. Now, what I would guess is that since Feral plays with its Covenant-specific legendary, I think that's a kind of a rare thing. There's not too many specs in the game that play with their Covenant-specific legendary or benefit from their Covenant-specific legendary as much as Feral does. So when it comes to wearing 2 specific legendaries, Feral already has one from their Covenant-specific that they benefit hugely from, and then they can just pick their second best. There's a lot of specs in the game that are not going to work like that. Now, I would have to hope that the devs know what they're doing, and that's why they made our tier set so poor. But I would just guess that our tier set is bad because we benefit really well from 2 legendaries where other classes don't. I think we're going to do really well in the raid, but there you go. The video's out. You guys have some numbers. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Share it, like it, do what you need to be doing. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Peace out.